Hey, friends, I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Ssemanda, the intuitive psychiatrist, and you're listening to Stepping into Soul Power. Friends, we are in a interesting, somewhat chaotic, transformative time right now. And during this time, now more than ever, we are having to look within ourselves and start to really heal some deep wounds. Our next guest is a master at helping people to heal on multiple different levels. Not only that, but reconnect with a part of the divine that many of us honestly have unfortunately forgotten. She is a Sufi spiritual guide, master healer, co-president of the University of Sufism, and she's the only female spiritual guide in the U.S., having helped over 40,000 people heal. Salima Adelstein, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so great to be here and to share a little bit with your audience.
Yeah, you're one of very few spiritual female leaders. Like, a lot of times we see a lot of men. We see there
Right.
men are and there but so I would love if you could tell us how you went about your path to become a spiritual leader, that is really helping people to heal.
I think for me, it starts with role models.
Ooh,
And as female leaders, we don't have that many role models to look to. So for me, I started with um, Mother Teresa, and I loved the work that she was doing. And I thought, what does it take to really be able to be that humble, to be that nourishing and nurturing to someone, and to be in service? And that became sort of the touchstone for what I call my walking in this life. And what really made a difference in my life, in the choices that I made of the things that became important to me. Um, I was never, when I was sort of growing up, I was never too much interested in the things that sort of most kids or teenagers were interested in. I really was drawn to more philosophical and deeper meanings of life. You know, why are we here? What's
uh,
my purpose? Who am I? And what is truth all about? Those were the questions that haunted me.
wow, look at you.
And, you don't find that in a regular traditional school environment. And I had always thought, well, maybe I'll be a doctor because I was always fascinated by healing. And I found very early in life that for me, the medical world was not the kind of healing that I was really interested in. First of all, I couldn't stand the sight of blood. So that right away made a difference. Um, but secondly, I was more interested in people's spiritual growth.
Ooh,
What made them not only unique as individuals, but connected? So there was a certain hunger in my soul, if you will, for knowledge about unity, knowledge about oneness, knowledge about God. And that's what ultimately led me to the Sufi path. I was doing a lot of energetic healing before that,
mhm,
working in hospice programs, working with children who were dying, working with people with serious chronic illnesses. And it was all based on sort of an energetic model. And when I got introduced to Sufism, Sufism brought this spirituality in. And it
mm,
had you look at who is the real healer here? Is it me as a healer, or is it the divine working through me? And how do I empty myself so that glorious healing energy comes through my being to help heal somebody else? So we say in Sufism that the transformation of our human soul into our divine soul helps us become the hands by which God heals, the eyes by which God sees, the ears by which God hears, and the voice by which God speaks through us.
Wow. Wow. And so, so you were introduced to Sufism somehow. How did that manifest itself?
I met a Sufi guide and master who happened to have been visiting the United States. I was on a meditation path before that, so I wasn't really interested in Sufism. I was pretty happy with my meditation path, but I was curious and open. And you really have to be open minded and open hearted to explore different things. So I decided I would go and see what it was like. And when I met him, the first thing on a energetic thing that I noticed was it, if you'd say his aura or his energy field was the most brilliant white that I had ever seen.
Oh,
And, I was captivated by it, so much so that sort of his outer appearance, I may have been turned away a little bit by because it was so foreign from my upbringing.
yeah.
But there was something about the presence of love in his heart, a
Mhm.
real unconditional divine love, and this beautiful white purity that in all my spiritual travels and in all my work in energetic healing, I had never seen before. So I was curious and I wanted to learn more about it and wanted to be initiated in it so I could really dive deep to see what it was. And you may know, and your audience may know about sort of the third eye and how the third eye works. What Sufism and what he taught me was to not be so much up here, but really to focus here and to
Mm.
focus on the heart. And inside the heart, there's actually an eye. And to learn to see through the eye of your heart
Mm.
rather than your third eye. And when you see through the eye of the heart, everything changes because you begin to see
Uh-oh.
through the spiritual nature of an individual. You begin to see everything through the eyes of love, through the eyes of holiness, and through the eyes of the divine. And that changes your whole perspective on how you heal and how you work with people. I remember I was doing a workshop with medical doctors, and I asked them, when you look at your patients, what is the first thing that you see? And most of them responded, I see an illness. I see a symptom. I
Oh my
see
gosh.
something that's
Wow.
right. And that's their training, right?
It is, it's a little bit heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's
That's why a
odd
lot,
that, like, that's the first thing that came to mind.
yeah. So I asked them, well, what would happen if you saw your patients as divine souls? What would happen if you saw them as holy beings?
Mm.
What would happen if a cancer patient was in front of you and you saw them healthy and whole? And one of them who I really invite conversation in my workshops. And one of them said, oh, I could never do that. I said, why not? If you don't see them as healthy, how are you going to take them on the road to health?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's what Sufi spiritual healing is all about, is holding somebody in their highest and most divine nature, starting with what is their relationship with God or the divine or the universe, whatever they believe in, and then looking at what is the soul's struggles that they're experiencing in this life that's helping them become who they are. She says,
I those are oh, those are two such important. I wish we could add them to the diagnostic process that's going on.
and that's why we started the university, so that we can begin to train healers and train doctors and train nurses and psychologists and psychiatrists and people who are sick to learn how to heal themselves.
Yes, yes.
That's a very unique university in that respect.
I see. I wanna go back a little bit because you said something about inside the heart, there is an I, and I wanted to ask you, what are the practical steps that people can do to start moving in the direction of using their heart space?
Mhm. Yeah. Um, Coming from Cambridge, Massachusetts, I can tell you that this isn't an easy process for
Okay.
people that have very strong minds and
Yes.
very strong intellects. Because the
Okay.
very first thing that you need to do is bow your mind to your heart.
Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah. And understand that your heart has a wisdom that's far beyond what your mind knows. And that first step is a hard step. And if you look at the body, when the body is in a prostration, meaning when your head is on the ground, you'll see that that's a natural position where your head is lower than your heart. So that's often a position that I say to people, move into a prostration so you can just begin to feel what it's like where your heart is in a position where it's over the head's knowledge. And then the second is in the breath. It's like, how do we begin to open the heart? Most people's hearts, you know, we live in a world where a lot of people's hearts have been hurt, and there's been a lot of wounding that has happened in the heart. So a lot of people are very reluctant to take that dive into the heart because they have to deal with and experience the wounds and the hurts that are in the heart. And that's the first step of the healing is recognizing what are those, and some of those wounds go
okay.
back into the womb, go back into when we first come into this world, right? Come in, and then start from there with parents, you know, meaning well,
Yeah.
but still, life is hard,
Yeah.
right? And we
Life
go
is
through
life.
difficulties, right? Right. And our teachers, we always, I've yet to do a workshop where I ask people and I ask your audience, have you ever made a mistake? And everybody says, yeah. I've never met anybody that hasn't made a mistake in their life, but we treat mistakes in a very different way that hurts our soul,
Mm.
right? Because we say when we make a mistake, there must be something wrong. I did something wrong. Instead of seeing the mistake as an opportunity to what we would say in Sufism, clean and purify the heart and beautify the heart to receive God's mercy and love in those places that are hurt.
I'm thinking of it like a psychiatrist. You're reframing what that word means. There are a lot of connotations that that mistake has. I like that, an opportunity
Mhm.
to clean, um
Purify and beautify because the heart is like a mirror. And do you ever, as a kid, go into those fun houses where the mirrors are distorted and you see a wacky reflection of yourself? I'm short, so I particularly like one of those mirrors that made you tall. Most of the time, they're distorted images of who we are. Well, our heart symbolically is like a mirror. And through these mistakes or through these hard experiences, hurtful experiences that we have, the heart, you could say, gets tarnished or gets wounded. And then we see and perceive ourselves and the world through those wounds. And we don't really get to know the beauty of who we are. We don't really get to know what we in Sufism say, the secrets and the treasures that God placed inside your heart that make you uniquely you and
mm,
also connect you to everybody else as one family.
it's so beautiful.
Mm.
That is so beautiful, and you are right. You're saying this, and I'm just kinda translating it to the world. In psychiatry, we talk about, like, a heart wall, and, we can do work in this space, and you are so right that we do see ourselves through those wounds.
Yeah.
When you look at your life, because you had a transformation and you've learned this, what helped you on your journey as you moved from focusing on the energy healing, third eye to having an eye in the heart?
Yeah. I think 2 things. One, I was always on a quest for truth, and I wanted to experience truth, not just learn about it. So I wanted to have an experience that would say to me, so somebody could talk to you and say, "Oh, this is truth." But when you experience it, you either get goosebumps or you have some some knowing that says, "Yes, I can trust this. I know this to be true." And that was what I was looking for. I was looking for, how do I know that this is true? How can I know there's a God. How can I have a direct experience of God's light and God's love that I am so certain about, no matter what anybody says to me, I know is true? And that was the journey that I was on, to have those kinds of experiences. And I literally traveled the world studying with all kinds of masters. Not, I had one Sufi master, but before that, many gurus, many spiritual healers, wanting those experiences. I found that when I did the Sufi practices that your audience will have a chance to experience in the offering called the 5 C's of inner truth, that they'll have an opportunity to sign up for. It's all free, um, to experience. Because once you experience something, then nobody can change your mind about it, right? So I've had this experience and I know this is truth.
Wow, you said something, the 5 C's of inner truth. What are the C?
So the 5 C's, there are many, but
Okay.
the one that we start with our Sufi teaching is looking at, what is our connection, right? What is our connection to the Most High? How do we begin to have a deeper connection? Whether you believe in God or you believe in love or you believe in the universe, whatever that is for you, how do you begin to align and connect with that? So that's the sort of first C that we talk about. And in that connection, there's a communication that you begin to have, a,
Mm,
right? A communication that leads you towards truth. Oftentimes, I don't know about you, but oftentimes I worked with special ed kids, and oftentimes in their education, they were told, "You're not good enough, you're stupid, you don't know anything." And those become sort of the voices that begin to direct their lives, right? So the communication is then, how do you listen to a voice of the divine within you that's going to clear those outside voices that somebody else said to you that created some pain and hurt within your heart? How do you begin to break down the, as a psychiatrist, those ego structures, right?
yeah.
That begin to say, I need, or I desire, or set us in directions one way or the other, right? That don't allow us to, that, how can I say this? That don't allow us to really understand what our relationship is to the divine. I can do it all myself. It's part of the ego, right? I've got this.
Yes.
I can do it all myself. I don't need anybody. Right?
Yes.
I got it. Right?
Yes.
That voice can be very destructive to us in our soul journey. in our spiritual journey because we need that connection. Part
Mm.
of what we're dealing with now in our universe is so much loneliness because people don't feel that connection. They don't feel that connection with each other, and
Mm.
they don't feel that connection with the divine.
Ah, it's so powerful. Connection is a basic need.
Yes. And this connection leads us to the truth of who we are and what we're doing here and what impact do we want to make in this life.
Wow, wow. We live in a very destructive and distracted world. Are there practical things we can do to nurture that connection?
Mhm. Yeah, there's spiritual practices. I mean, Sufism has a whole bunch of them, but there's spiritual practices that you can do anywhere. One of the reasons why I love the Sufi practices, because unlike meditation, where I've got to find a quiet place and close my eyes, which for busy people, you don't always have the time to do that, right? Some of the Sufi practices, one in particular, is called remembrance. And you're just being reminded of this divine light inside you, this divine love inside you through the repetition of a sacred name. And you can do that while you're stuck in traffic. It creates like an inner peace in your being. And and again, it helps connect you and it helps align you. And more importantly, what we're missing a lot in today's world is balance.
Mm,
What I find is people are really totally out of balance, right? They're
yeah.
either focused on work and work takes over their life, or they're focused on something else, but there's not a good balance and an understanding that our whole world is in balance. And the more that we're in harmony with this balance, the more we'll feel the harmony of the world. And I honestly think that's part of the crisis that we're in right now is a call for this balance.
Mm, a call for balance. You are right that we are out of balance. Um, we gotta get our priorities straight.
We got to take care of ourselves. I've seen so many caregivers burn themselves out. I've seen so many people who are advocates for good causes burning themselves out
Yeah,
because they're not caring for themselves.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I say to my students, fill your cup and give the overflow to the people you're serving.
I agree, but it's hard to do.
It is hard to do. It is. As you said, you have to make it a priority. You have to say, this is important. Otherwise, what happens in my experience is people get unhealthy. People then get disease, right?
It's true. Well, disease is a lack
Right,
of balance,
right.
and it's dis-ease.
It's disease, right? We
Yes,
want to return to the ease. We want to return to peace, right? I really believe that we have the potential within our lifetime for world peace, but it starts when we find peace within,
ooh, yes,
right? We have to find our own inner peace. We have to deal with our own inner conflicts.
yes.
And then we'll see there's a beautiful expression in Sufism. It's what happens on the inside is a reflection of what you experience on the outside. So if that is true, then the more that we can establish peace within us, the more we'll begin to see peace in the world.
Absolutely. I am in full agreement with that. And I say that as a psychiatrist. I do see like when people when they do the inner work, it's a ripple effect. People
Exactly.
feel it. The world knows.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen this with parents. When parents do their work, their kids change.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
change,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
think I've said to somebody, my son can tell, like, if anything's off with me, he can tell. And when I'm good, he's even better.
I was working with parents once who were um, not getting along, and their kids were acting out all the time. And they were coming and they were saying, "Help my kids." And I said, "No, I first want to work with the two of you." And as soon as they cleared the issues that they were dealing with as parents, their kids stopped fighting. And they said, "Oh my God, this is a miracle." And I said, "No,
Yes.
right? It's not a miracle. That's what happens when we do our inner work. It is reflected on the outside."
Yes. Oh, so, 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 so important. You said something, divine love. Can you speak to that? When you say that, what do you mean?
Um, well, we all know our human love, and oftentimes human love has conditions to it, right? You do this, and I'll love you, right? Divine love is an unconditional love that no matter what, love is always there. I don't know about you, but in working in hospice, when people are making that transition, they'll often say to me as that world sort of opens up, as the veils lift, "Salima, all there is love. It's what you've been saying. The universe is just love." That's the divine love that I'm talking about. We have the opportunity to experience that love now,
Yeah.
not when we die. And that's why the Sufis have this strange expression, die before you die, so that we can live in that divine, unconditional love now. It doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries and we don't say no to what's not right, but it means that we're holding and understanding that there's love behind everything.
Holding and understanding that there's love behind everything. What does it look like? Can you paint a picture or give an example?
Sure. I was working with a bunch of Vietnam vets a while ago. And as you know, in our country, when the Vietnam War happened, the Vietnam vets were not treated in a way that would honor their service to this country. So there's a lot of healing
Yeah.
and a lot of hardship that went along with that, as well as what they've experienced in Vietnam. And as we were working in and doing the healing work, one of the things that I asked them is, as you look back on that experience now, what was the mercy in it? Was there love in it? And it took a while. Then we did some Sufi practices to help open. And as they opened, they said, "Oh my, I would not be where I am today without that experience. I would not have taken myself into college and in this case, this man was a psychologist and be a psychologist trying to help other vets if I didn't go through that experience myself. Oh, I didn't realize even before the war, I had all this anger in my heart,
Mm,
and the war brought up all this anger that I now am dealing with and finding what that anger, the root cause of that anger. It wasn't what happened in the war. It happened to me at a much younger age."
wow. Wow. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Uh, I know that our listeners are going to want to connect with you. Can you let us know where can we find you?
Um, the first is at sufi.net. That's how you all can receive the 5 C's of inner truth, and also at www.sufiuniversity at sufiu.org.
Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It has been a pleasure for you to be here on the show, Salima Edelstein. I am just in awe of your presence and I feel the love.
Yes.
I do.
Just imagine a world where every one of us is reflecting and transmitting that love to each other.
You know, I love what you said that you can see that we will achieve that peace on a
Yeah.
global level, and I'm with you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And please, your audience, I'm sure, will enjoy the 5 C's and just learn more about yourself and stay in balance.
Very good. Thank you, and many blessings to you.
Likewise. Thank you.
If you haven't heard it yet today, I appreciate you. The soul in me honors the soul in you. If you'd like to see more episodes like this, please subscribe or click here. And friends, if this spoke to you, leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you.